After a few days of reflection and making videos about my desire and plan to develop the Dominican accent and the Spanish accent, I have been feeling quite overwhelmed and having a lot of negative thoughts. Will I be able to maintain and develop both of these accents on top of my neutral accent? And how exactly am I going to find time to even develop these accents? It just seems like there's no way to do this. It doesn't seem possible whatsoever. After all this negativity, I had to come to my senses and realize that my whole perspective on if this was possible to learn and develop multiple accents at the same time was completely wrong, because I was already failing myself before I even started. Not only have I made plans to develop and maintain my accents, I also realized that I was actually already doing this, because when I first started to speak Spanish, I already had two accents right there. So I had my American or my English accent when I speak English, and then I had my more neutral accent when I spoke Spanish. And then last year, after going to the Dominican Republic, I started to develop my Dominican accent. But if you were to ask me back then how many accents I was working on, I would have just said one, the Dominican accent. But in reality, I was working on two different accents. I was working on my neutral accent and my Dominican accent. I didn't include my neutral accent into the picture, so I only thought that if I was learning a specific accent from a specific country, that means I'm actually developing a particular accent, instead of saying that, oh, my neutral accent is also an accent as well. So now I see that there is actually a lot of overlap, because just because I'm focusing on the Dominican accent, that doesn't mean that my neutral accent is not getting better. Actually, no, it's the complete opposite. My Dominican accent, developing that actually helps out a lot for my neutral accent, because I'm still focusing on trying to increase my pronunciation within the Spanish language, and I'm learning all these different pronunciation rules. This year, I started my journey with the Spanish accent. So now I have three different accents under my belt. I have the Spanish accent, the Dominican accent, and the neutral accent. But the thing is, I didn't really feel that I was actually focusing on the Dominican accent that much. And especially because my accent actually decreased a lot. So my accent with the Dominican accent was not as thick and was not as strong as it was last year. So was I really learning and developing multiple accents at the same time? I would say yes, but my perspective was still off because I lost my Dominican accent a little bit. And with the Spanish accent, I was just a baby. I'm just starting out. So that's why I really didn't think that I was developing multiple accents at the same time. But the truth is, on my Instagram, I would use my Dominican accent, I would also use my Spanish accent and my neutral accent. So I definitely was using them all at the same time, but it was just that perspective that I had. But on top of that, this year I also started to learn French. So here is another accent that has come into the picture that I really wasn't thinking about until recently. Because even though I'm a complete baby in French, I'm learning this language completely from scratch. I technically still am developing my French pronunciation and developing a neutral French accent. So even though I was really worried about trying to develop and maintain multiple accents within the Spanish language, here I was actually developing an accent from a completely different language. To help me answer this question even more, recently I've really started to think about my friends, because I have many friends who are either first generation Americans or they have just recently moved to the United States. So they actually speak multiple languages, so they also have multiple accents. And I've been able to experience this firsthand. When they are speaking with me in English, their accent sounds very different from when they are speaking with a family member in their native language. Professional voice actors also popped into my head, because I know that they have a variety of different voices and accents for movies, TV shows, and commercials. And I am not a voice actor and haven't really been planning on becoming one, but for me it's mostly about the proof that it is possible to have multiple accents and to be able to develop them and maintain them. But the thing is just really having a plan to do it. So that's why I really wanted to look on Google and try to figure out how they have done it as well. So now I know that it is possible to develop and learn multiple accents at the same time, and so can you. And I think another fear when it comes to if this is even possible is the fear that if I am not living in the particular country of the accent that I want to learn and develop, then I'm not going to be able to develop it. And the same thing when it comes to being exposed to the accent. Okay, I'm not around a lot of Dominicans or I'm not around a lot of Mexicans. I won't be able to develop this accent. And I have heard this and I have read this so many times. So I definitely have had this fear a lot, especially because I don't plan on moving or traveling to a Spanish speaking country for a while. So if you have a desire to learn multiple accents at the same time, then just do it. But don't let your insecurities and your fear stop you from trying to obtain this goal, because that is what has happened to me way too many times. And I'm not saying that this is going to be easy. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is it definitely is possible if you at least take that first step. And that's something that I have had to realize many times. Even though for me right now, with the Spanish accent and with the Dominican accent and also with my French accent, it feels very unnatural. It feels very awkward. I don't like to use it all the time because I feel like I'm just a baby. But if you are a language learner, then you know that these things take time and they take a lot of patience. So don't give up on yourself, and I'll make sure that I won't give up on myself anymore. If you're enjoying the videos that I make, you can support my channel by donating to my Buy Me a Coffee page, and you can find the link in the description. Te veo en el próximo video.